Hello, my fellow Ripplers. This is Chris Miles, your cash flow expert and anti-financial advisor. Welcome to our show that's for you. You that work so hard for your money and now you're ready for your money. Start working harder for you right now. You want that freedom and cash flow today, not 30 or 40 years from now, but you want it right now so that you can live that life that you love with those that you love. But I know it's not just about creating money, is it? It's about creating a rich life, which we'll talk about today. Because as you're blessed financially, you have the greater capacity to bless the lives of those around you. Thank you for tuning in today, guys. Thank you for allowing me to create a ripple effect through you, especially as you guys take action. Shout out to so many of you that have recently, whether you've done infinite banking, whether you've joined our group as VIP clients to change your life. Man, it's so awesome to see so many of you guys really coming in and really just trying to change your lives. And that's really what I want to talk about today, especially. So thank you for doing that. Special shout out to those of you that are our VIP clients today.
Chris Miles was able to retire twice by the time he was 39 years old. But he's not content to just enjoy his own financial freedom and peace of mind. Chris wants you to have your own ripple effect so you can live free today. He's not the financial advisor you expected. He's the anti-financial advisor you deserve. He's jumping behind the mic right now, ready to make waves. Here's Chris Miles.
All right, guys. So today I want to talk about really like how do you really create a life that becomes the envy of others, right? How do you create a life that only people dream about or could only hope to have? And I mean, not just financially, but really the better quality of life in general. And so I want to take a more deeper perspective into this because we mentioned strategies. We mentioned a lot about the stock market and retirement accounts. We mentioned a lot about real estate investing of various types. However, this is the one thing I've learned, especially over time, is that your financial freedom has nothing to do with your money. Okay, maybe a little bit. It has a little bit to do with it because obviously it is financial freedom. But I'm here to tell you that your financial freedom has more to do with your state of pocketbook, not so much with that, but more of a state of mind and being. And if you want to have the life that people envy or love or would love to have themselves, surprisingly, it's not what you think. And this conversation was really inspired to me today because I've noticed that there are a lot of influencers, especially that will show off their nice hot cars, and that's great. Like, and I know some of these guys personally, and I know that they can afford to pay for these cars. A lot of it is from selling this very kind of concept. Some of them are real estate investors. They got these great exotic cars, and I've seen people comment saying, "Oh, I want to be that way," or "I want that FU type of money," right? Or "I want to have that Lambo or that Ferrari that I can drive to my 10-year class reunion and stick it to the bullies and to all the people that basically really just overlooked me." After that point, after reading one of those comments, I just said, enough's enough. And I did a short video on this on one of our channels here, actually on this channel. So you might have seen it from a few weeks ago. But I'll tell you that it does disturb me because financial freedom has very, very little to do with your bank account. It has more to do with this, is that financial freedom is when money is no longer the primary reason or excuse that you do or do not do anything. Money is actually not the excuse for it. Now, you might be using money and looking at value, but again, money is not dictating your life. That to me is what true freedom is when money doesn't dictate all of your decisions. When you actually are free, you are a free man or a free woman that's able to say, I'm liberated from this attachment to money. And that's a very different thing. I will tell you this, I promise you this, there is no amount of money that will do that. There are people that I know, multimillionaires, that are still in bondage to money because it's still a reason that they haven't broken. And for me, I get it. Okay. Like I get wanting to show off things and really having that kind of life that you're trying to get people to be jealous of. I did that. It didn't help that I was a financial advisor at first, right? Because I know there are many financial advisors that are in this place that feel like they have to fake it till they make it, or they have to drive a nice car or, kind of show off, right? A little bit. And the sad thing is that people like all of us, right? We judge people off of their face value. And so naturally, especially when you're younger, that's a bigger thing, especially for me when I was in my 20s as a financial advisor. You're young. There's people twice your age or older, or even 3 times your age that you're meeting with, trying to tell them about what to do with their money. And you don't have that kind of experience. And even people later on, I even know these guys, people my age in their 40s, 50s or whatever, still feel like they have to keep this facade. And it's not just financial advisors, it's everybody, right? I mean, there's a lot of people that have this kind of problem thinking, well, maybe my house should be a certain way or my car should be a certain way. And some of you may not care. And that's awesome because you're already taking that first step to freedom. And now when I say that, I know there's various reasons. Sometimes you could say, I don't care, but really you care a lot. And you're just saying that because you don't want to care, right? You're trying to make an excuse. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about those of you that really are unattached to material possessions. This is a point you need to get to if you want financial freedom. You need to be detached from material possessions. For me, let me kind of give you my backstory. So this kid that's talking about, he just graduated from high school and he wants to go to his 10-year reunion and driving that Lambo or that Ferrari and kind of, stick it, kind of like giving people a middle finger a little bit for how his life is today. And he did that because I have a friend that does that. He actually parked his car, his Ferrari, right in front of the high school that he dropped out of. So he said, I'm a high school dropout. They said I'd never make it. Look at me now. And, you can look at that with various perspectives of what the real intention is behind that. Knowing this guy, I know he's doing that more to get comments and kind of get a rise out of people because sadly, that's what social media does. But I will say this is that I was kind of in a similar place. I was actually bullied. He mentioned he was bullied too. I actually was bullied. I grew 6 inches between my junior and my senior year, which only got me to 5'9.25". So I went from 5'3" to 5'9", pretty much over the summer break between junior and senior year. So I was short, I was smaller, I was picked on. On top of that, girls overlooked me too. We were in a small school, very small town. I only had 130 people in my graduating class, and just outside of Portland, Oregon. And so as a result, yeah, it was a kind of a rough time for me. High school was not I mean, I have some fond memories, but there were a lot of painful memories too. And so I remember going to my 10-year reunion, and thinking, you know what, I'm going to show off. And I wasn't quite at the point where I was making a lot of passive income, but my life was starting to look up financially a little bit. So I made sure I rented, and of course I flew there, so we rented a car. So I rented a sports car to drive to my class reunion. And I went there, and I remember I went Latin dancing, which shocked a lot of people because I was married. I became a dancer after that point. Now these guys knew me as a very introverted, kind of a quiet guy. I wasn't very outspoken at all. In fact, if I talked to more than one person, I kind of got a little, frantic because I didn't know how to create real good conversation at that time. So of course I kind of looked like I broke out of my shell. So people are like, whoa, this is a different Chris Miles. Not because of the car, but because I was a different person, because I did break out of that shell. But of course, because I had that lack of confidence in myself, right? That ego that steps in, I thought, you know what? I'm gonna keep doing this. And so I remember getting even a better car the next year. I got a nice Mercedes that, again, something to kind of show off and show how my seats inflate when I take corners. So it just kind of like cuddles you like a little teddy bear as you go around corners and stuff, right? And I even had, I bought the nice house. And I remember I tell the realtor, I want a house that people walk in and say, wow. Why? Because I wanted to put the stuff in front of me because I value the stuff more than I valued myself. I didn't see the value in me, so I put my stuff out in front to show more value, to make me feel like I was more valuable. But in truth, all I was doing was trying to feed my ego. And that's a dangerous place to be. Now, I know that people do it for various reasons. I'm not saying I was trying to be malicious with it at all. I was just insecure about who I was. I wasn't standing in my own power. I didn't really know truly who I could be or who I was at that time. I saw glimpses, but I never felt sufficient enough. I didn't feel like I was enough as Chris Miles. And that's the thing, guys. More money doesn't solve your problems. Money is only a magnifier of your soul. In fact, it only makes you more of who you already are. Because all that did was just amplify the expression of me having a smaller ego, right? Or really not a small ego. Ego was definitely the issue. More lack of confidence in myself. The change for me happened after 2008 and into 2009, especially by 2009 when I pretty much had lost just about everything I could. I mean, we had foreclosed on our home April 2009. I remember that was shocking because I had to pay the guy rent for 2 more weeks so I could have our 4th child. I didn't have it. Obviously, my wife had the child. So we so to speak, my wife had our 4th child. And pretty much we're moving into a new home. That was like a quarter of the house payment from what we had as a mortgage. We downsized everything, sold off almost everything we could other than keeping our family vehicle, the van that we had, the minivan that we had to try to transport our kids. I had to borrow a car from a friend and I eventually paid him off on this cheap or like old car, this was definitely not a car that people would say, oh, that's a financially successful guy. I mean, the car was worth maybe $3,000 used. Okay. It was a cheap car, very basic. And that's what I needed. And I got my life simpler. And I'll tell you, when I lost everything, that's when I realized I had everything. Because when you take all that stuff away, all I was left with was me. And it was a very vulnerable time for me because I felt like I was really just a fraud. I felt like I was, in some ways, a complete fraud, because I was teaching people how to get wealthy at one point and how to get out of the rat race, but I was back in it. I was in the hole over $1 million, right? You guys heard that story. So I'm in the hole over $1 million, and now I'm teaching people how to create more cash flow, get resourceful and creative, which is essentially what I was doing at that time. So I aligned my integrity, make sure that I was at least teaching the things I was doing versus teaching something that I wasn't living myself. And as I got my life aligned and I started to realize that the stuff didn't matter anymore, that it didn't change me. I was still there. All of me was still there. In fact, I knew that the real key to wealth was within me, that everything I could do to create and rebuild was within me, that I could create that income. I can be able to rebuild and fight my way back. And I did from 2009 through 2016. It was a long battle of 7+ years of trying to make a comeback to eventually pay off that debt and get to a place where I could say, look, now I'm financially independent one more time, once again. And that took to the very end of 2016 to do that. I mean, so I did not do it in super fast speed, but I did that in a way that I knew that would bring more hope to you or to anybody else. Because I knew that most of you, probably almost any of you listening right now, are probably better off financially than I was in the last recession. That should inspire you to say, I can do it too. And especially if you're a business owner, you have unlimited potential. Even if you're an employee, you have more potential, but you got to get past some mental blocks, believing that you have to work hard or be able to create more income from just working. There are other ways to create value for people, even if it's a side hustle, wherever it might be, to allow you to build up more wealth. So again, coming back to this, when I had everything stripped away other than myself, when I took away all those worldly possessions, the material possessions, then as I started to rebuild again, because I had to focus on me and valuing me and seeing where my true superpowers were and what made me unique and what made me really valuable to other people. And that was a long mental game. Once I got through that, now that I'm at the point where I'm wealthier than I ever been before in my life, I have more passive income coming in than I ever have. Yet I drive a couple Nissans, I have a couple Nissans and I love them. I love them. And yes, all of them are at least 4 or 5 years old right now. Like they're used cars at this point, even though I bought them close to new at the time, but they're paid off cars. I mean, it's a very simple life. Now my house is pretty expensive, partly because of the land, because we want to have more land for, homesteading, that kind of thing. Plus I have a lot of kids. But even then we could have gone more expensive with the house too. And we didn't. Like we would like to keep things simple. It's not about trying to brag and show people how much wealth we have. I know in the influencer space, this is completely counterintuitive because I'm supposed to show off my flashy cars. And yes, I could buy a nice Lamborghini or a Ferrari. Heck, I make about as much in a month or two to buy those things easily. But I don't, because I don't give a crap. I don't care. That's what it means to be non-attached. The ironic thing is, guys, I didn't have to be financially free to experience financial freedom. Let me repeat that. I did not have to be financially free, nor do you, to experience financial freedom because I had lost everything. Once I stripped it all away, it didn't matter. The value was within me. To be financially free, you need to be detached from your things. You need to be detached from what you think financial freedom looks like, what you think being wealthy looks like. It's not what you think it is. In my opinion, and this is just my definition of wealth, right? Again, that wealthiness that you have, that wealth is being able to live the life that you want on your terms. It's your life. You are in control. And like I said, I got that financial freedom when I didn't have financial freedom, or at least financial independence. I got that financial freedom by becoming detached from my things, detached from what I'm trying to show everybody else and show off, and instead just be me and do what I love, what makes me happy. That is freedom, guys. That is the kind of freedom I want for you. That is the kind of freedom that I hope you aspire to, because as a Rippler, and I know that if you're watching this right now, you are a Rippler. You are somebody who wants to live a greater life than what you're living today, not just financially, but a better quality of life, a life that's richer in the sense that you have your relationships of those around you, You will have that your health is vital. I'm going to have to do another show on just health alone, because you don't have health. Why do we care about having money? Right? It's having that better quality of life, a better spiritual life, those kind of things. Having all of these things in alignment is where true freedom lies. It's true wealth. It's not about just having a lot of money. It's not about getting out of the rat race. It's not about passive income. That is great, and that can help you express it more. But the best thing you can do right now while you're getting out of the rat race is focus on this. Focus on you and who you are and how to become free here so that you can be free, wherever my wallet is. I mean, where my wallet, but free there, right? Free in your bank account, free in your financial life as well. There is where you'll find true freedom. All right, guys, that's my wish for you. You want that ripple effect. You want your life to change. Please do so in whatever way that is. If we can help support you, always reach out to us at moneyripples.com. But I challenge you to live a free life, become detached from stuff, become a better person, become someone who is free mentally as well as financially. And you will have the kind of life that everybody else wishes they had. They'll envy you for it, and they will think it's the money, and it's not. It's not about the money. The money is the thing that's a natural byproduct of that freedom. The freedom is who you become in the process. How amazing are you? By the way, if you're going to go to if you're going to go to that class reunion, I recommend be somebody who actually asks questions and get to know people. I did that at my 20-year reunion, way less ego, so much more fun. Even talking to the people I thought were bullies or people that overlooked me, girls especially, it was a way different experience. So I'm telling you, be proud of who you are right now, live that life, and be free. Liberate yourself, because only you can do that. Make it a wonderful and prosperous week. See you later.